environmental justice is not a policy position. It's a buzzword that you can use at a cocktail party at MIT or in Manhattan or Minneapolis. And you know how I know that? Because there's no environmental justice to the 14-year-old slave going into a cobalt mine in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. There's no environmental justice to the Uyghur community that is building these solar panels because we disallow the ability to do the mining for these products at home. Environmental justice is the emotional hook to drive up the cost of traditionally cheap and reliable energy, combined with how we continue to create the federal subsidy market in order to reset the American energy production. And I don't know where the environmental justice is in communities like Beulah and Hazen and Washburn and Underwood in North Dakota if Representative Pallone and Peters have their way and we shut down lignite energy production in North Dakota, particularly when we have EPA primacy and are working on some of the most advanced carbon capture technology in the world. And I sure as heck don't know where the environmental justice is in Western North Dakota when it's 70 degrees below zero and the heat goes off because the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining, and we're become far too reliable on intermittent power. But the Biden administration recently decided to take place a temporary pause on pending decisions to export liquefied natural gas. We've heard the administration claims that this pause is to reevaluate the current economic environmental analysis DOE uses to underpin its LNG export authorizations. And the natural gas is relied on by our allies in Europe, and I would talk, if I have time, Mr. Rice, I'm going to talk about not just displacing natural gas with coal, but these infrastructure projects all across the world are being built out right now. And we are sending signals that are saying that our LNG is not going to be available, and they're going to get it from somewhere else, oftentimes from people who are no longer, are not necessarily friends and allies of the United States. But whatever the new criteria is and used to evaluate CP2 would be expected to be applied to the other 16 proposed natural gas terminals that are awaiting approval. This will have major impacts on domestic LNG production. CP2 alone would export up to 20 million tons of natural gas per year, increasing the current amount of exported American gas by about 20%. And earlier we had some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle talk about the maturity of this decision. In advance of announcing this major policy change with huge national security and economic impacts, the White House took a meeting with a man named Alex Harris. According to the New York Times, Mr. Harris is a 25-year-old Colorado social media influencer who has led a TikTok and Instagram campaign aimed at urging young voters to demand that Mr. Biden reject the project. He's also the creator of a popular YouTube video entitled How I Live in My Car Full-Time, where he has described how to live full-time in a 2015 Subaru Outback SUV. I ask unanimous consent to introduce a New York Times article, a Daily Caller article, and the homepage of this man's YouTube channel. And I can't believe I'm talking about this while we're talking about LNG exports and national security. In fact, his social media work has gotten the attention of Ali Zaidi and John Podesta, senior advisors to Mr. Biden on climate policy, and helped influence that decision. Mr. Harris, according to his LinkedIn, is primarily a professional photographer who apparently, again, lives in his car full-time. I don't see any further substantial qualifications for environmental science or energy policy for him. Mr. Cormier, do you think it's proper to have Mr. Harris, a 25-year-old internet star, to be influencing such monumental national security and economic decisions?
He has a right to express his opinion.
Absolutely.
All I would ask is that if anyone has anything to say about how Southwest Louisiana and Southeast Texas impacted, come visit and talk to everyone.
The National Gas Act establishes a rebuttable presumption that a proposed export of natural gas meets the public interest requirements to DOE to grant an export application unless DOE can overcome that presumption. The administration has end-run the entire system by forcing DOE to reevaluate its evaluation criteria. The point of all of this process is to ensure that the political whims do not interfere with the expert processes that have been carefully crafted by Congress. I have 2 seconds, so Mr. McGowan, I'll have to submit this question to the record. I yield that.